Hello everyone, my name is Francisco from the Retro Rewind podcast and Firejoy Studios. I've been asked how I do this little achievement effect on my streams. I will play here for you. I'm going to ask the audience for help. So, and we'll show you how to do this first achievement effect. Once someone here does, they'll have to enter. So the point of this command is someone enters first or exclamation point first into your chat, like these folks here are about to do, and you'll see this achievement effect come up, and it will also give them a trophy. There we go, like this. So I named this achievement Icebreaker. You can name it whatever you want. And then it goes back to the main scene. So let's see how that ends up working. Yeah, thank you, Baba, for breaking the ice. Apparently, sometimes if you get people that do it at the exact same time, it will attribute it to both of them, like what happened here. But now, and then once the first has been achieved, it can no longer be achieved. So how do we achieve this effect? Well, there's several things that go into it. First, when you have, first you go into Streamer.bot and you need to set up, we'll go into the main achievement that happens. There's an achievement component and there's the animation component, which the animation, you're going to do that yourself. I'll show you how I do mine, but you're going to have to set that up your own way, in a way you want, using Canva or whatever graphics programs you want to use to achieve it. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make a new command. And you do that, you can, when you first load up Streamer.bot, you won't have all these buckets of commands like I do now, but you'll essentially just have a blank page where under actions. And just in case you're not in the same place, you're going to go to, when all this loads up, you're going to go, you may see this home. You're going to click on actions here, this button, or in the left-hand rail, click on actions. Then it'll take you to this page where you'll see all your actions. If you don't have any, then it'll be blank, of course. So if we start out, we're going to right click, click add, and then this will bring up a box for making a new action. So we could just call this our first action. You could call it first, you could call it dog, you could call it whatever you want. If you want to put it in a certain group, you can, if you want to make lots of achievements, maybe you make a group for achievements. If you don't have anything here to select from, all you have to do is write whatever group you want. So you could say, testing first actions, or Streamer.bot test, Streamer.bot testing, anything like that. And then the queue for now, just go ahead and leave that default. Now, if you want to look at these toggles, random action, I honestly don't know what that does. Probably don't do, well, it sort of tells you here. When enabled, we'll run a random top level sub action. That can be useful, and sub actions we'll get into in a little bit, but I've never used that. Concurrent means all the sub actions you have will run at the same time instead of one after another. Always run even if queue is paused. That goes back to this queue thing where you can have certain actions. Maybe you don't want some actions to run during other actions. So that this way you can say, hey, I want this to be paused at certain times. And then you can exclude this action from being paused or being part of a queue. So we're going to leave all those unchecked for now. Click OK. Now in this new action we have where we just set up, and if like, oh, where'd it go? We just set up this Streamer.bot testing group, and so our action is underneath that. So we're in this first action. So how is this action going to happen? Well, most times when you want something triggered in chat, it's through a command. That's a very popular way of doing things on Twitch. So exclamation point SO for shout out, or exclamation point commands to get a list of commands, etc. So for this one, we're going to do exclamation point first, so that if someone types that in, then whatever you want to have happen for this first achievement will happen. So to do this, we're going to right click add, or go to add, then core. We want core commands or core triggers. We want commands and then command triggered. And then for this, we say any, this will give you a list. If you click on any, it'll give you a list of all your current triggers. We're going to create a trigger. just for the demonstration of this, we'll say this is first command. You can name it wherever you want. This is just so you can locate it easily in the triggers list. Mode, I usually just use normal. I don't do regex is, I forget what the regular expressions. I don't know regular expressions. If you do, you could probably utilize this way better than I could. But we want this to be enabled. And we want the location to be at the start. You can have it so that it's an exact location or anywhere in the text string, but I usually do commands at the start. So you have to start your wherever you're typing with this command. And now in command, you're going to type wherever this is actually the command is going to be. So in our case, we'll say first. But since I already have a first command, we'll make this one a little different. You might say first chat. And then that'll just be the name of the command that people have to type in, or first here. We'll say first here. Then the group is if you want to group up your triggers in a certain way, you could do that here. You don't have to have a group though. Then in options, you have ignore bot accounts. So you don't want bots to trigger this. That's usually a good idea. Ignore internal messages. I'm pretty sure this means if you're testing this, you want to have this off, because if you're going to test from your own channel, it'll ignore your tests. But if you want to make sure that it doesn't trigger if you do something, then have ignore internal messages. I'm pretty sure that's what that means. The persist user count, these are used for other programmatic elements within the persist user count and persist counter. I usually leave those unchecked. And then case sensitive, if you want to make sure that someone has to type in maybe capital F or something for this to work and lowercase f will not, then case sensitive works. I usually leave case sensitive off. So first here. All right. Then we have, so those are the options. Then you have your cooldowns. For cooldowns, for this, we don't need to worry about cooldowns because we're going to set something up so that whoever it does first, that closes the gate for anyone else to get the first command. So if you have a command that lots of people can trigger, then you may want to have your user cooldown up so that only one person can do it, or one person can only do their command every so often, or maybe you only want the command to trigger for everyone only once every so often. So global cooldown would be used for that. And then the sources is if you want the command to be triggered from a Twitch message, a whisper, a bot whisper, etc., or a YouTube message also. They also have a Trovo and Kick. I don't usually deal with any of those, but we'll just say this is for Twitch. All right, fantastic. Now we go to the permissions. Can be a little weird how permissions work. Let's see. Bob says I can get triggered without a command. Wow, that's amazing. And Ken's laughing at that. Grant type is allowed. Essentially, you're saying what's allowed over here or what's denied. So right now, if you leave this as a grant type allowed, and essentially right now, this command can be allowed by everyone. If you want to say it's only allowed by certain people, let's say you only want your mods to be able to use this, then you click on moderators and then click over, and now moderators can only use this first command. Like it will only trigger, this will only act as a trigger for an action if a moderator were to trigger it. On the flip side, maybe you only want this for people that are new viewers, like mods. You don't want your mods to be able to do this. In that case, you go up to grant type, choose deny all, and now you're saying anyone that I'm put in this bucket is denied. Everyone else will be fine, but if you're denied, anyone who's denied is over here, or can't. The trigger won't affect any actions if the person who triggered it is a mod. So we're going to go back to allow and have everyone be able to do this. So again, if allowed is empty, pretty much anyone can do this command. All right, we'll click OK, and now we'll click OK, and we have our trigger ready. So if someone types in first, exclamation point first here, it will do something. Right now, it's going to do nothing because we don't have any sub actions. So think of your actions as the sort of bucket for all the programming that happens. Then the sub actions are the the functions within that big bucket, or all the water molecules within the bucket that actually fill it up. So, and then maybe the trigger is your handle that you can carry and do stuff with the bucket. I don't know. It's not the best analogy. But anyway, sub actions. How you create a new sub action is with, again, you right click and then you're going to click add. And this is where we're going to do a bunch of the nitty gritty for the first. Now with this, I'm going to go back to the original and just show you what I have and talk through it as opposed to writing it all out, because there's quite a bit here. So go back to our first achievement. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up a global variable, and there's persistent global variables and non-persistent global variables. Essentially what the difference is, persistent global variables will keep whatever state they have between sessions of Streamer.bot. It's like your save file on your old Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis games. You take the game out and you put it back in, you still have that file there. It's still there on the cartridge, you still have it. So that would be persistent. So if you want a variable or a global variable like that, then you want to click persistent. If you just need it to the variable to hold a value for your current session, then you don't want it to be persistent. So you untoggle this. Then for a variable name, I usually do bools if it's going to be a true or false variable, and that's what this is. So first underscore bool, and the whole capitalization, that's just a throwback to computer science and programming. Usually constants and globals will be all uppercase. That's what I recall anyway. So that's why I'm doing this uppercase thing for global variables. So you want to set up what your global variable is, where this value is going to be stored, in the scope of all of Streamer.bot. So any sub action, whatever action you make, if you need a sub action to be able to locate the value in this global variable, the variable name is what that global variable you're going to be looking for is. Then you have so that's the broad Streamer.bot scope. Then the smaller scope of just this sub action is the destination variable. Like, this variable will only be used within this sub action. Where do you want it to essentially take the variable of you're setting up this first bool variable, and then you're also setting up a destination variable within the scope of this small sub action. So I just usually start that with my first, and then essentially the name of the constant, but my first, and camel case it. Default value can just leave blank, but if you want to have something that starts off with a 0 or a space or something like that, you can enter that in the default value. Okay, we need that global because that's what's going to trigger if someone types in first, then it will set, right now it's currently set to true. First bool when you start the stream will be set to true, and I'll show you how you do that later after we go through these. That's sort of a stream setup thing. But you're going to initialize it with true. That way you can go into then you can set up an if statement. You do that with add. Oh, and I should say for globals, that's through add, core, globals, and then you want global set. You want to set up a global variable. So that's what we did. That's what, I'm sorry. Oh, that was a get. Oh, misspoke. Not perfect. This guy, not perfect right here. My name's Richie Cunningham, and this is my wife, Oprah. Okay. So this, I was saying we were saying a global. This is actually getting a global. So let me, I do need to take a step back. So you can only get a global value once you've set a global value somewhere else. The reason I don't set a global value here is because if I set it here, it will, every time I run this action, it'll reset it, And so first, if I have this first bool global variable, it will constantly get set to true every time someone types in exclamation point first. It'll like start this set of sub actions, and if the first one is set first bool to true, it'll always be true because it'll always just start that off. So I need to set it somewhere else so that it has a true state that can then be manipulated by this other action. So I have this whole slew of an action called reset achievements. Okay, if we go into reset achievements, I have a whole bunch of global functions that I set here that will trigger whenever my stream goes online. So I have a trigger called add, and then this one is Twitch, I believe, and then channel, and then stream is online. So as soon as the stream goes online, that is what triggers whatever sub actions I have tied to it to happen. So essentially I also have a manual reset trigger that happens if I need to do it manually, but that something I can type in, a command I can type in if I need to do it in the middle of the stream. But regardless, continuing on with this. So I set up all these variables. Hey, Cool Deluxe. All these variables in this initialization, essentially action that will trigger whenever the stream starts. So one of those is I set a global variable. So again, to set a global variable, you right click, go to add, core, globals, and global set. You always want to set the global before you get the global. For the first command, I'm setting one called, I'm making it global, making it not persisted because it's only going to retain its value. It's going to be initialized for this stream and just keep it for this stream. I don't have to worry about it maintaining the same value stream to stream to stream. So variable name is first underscore bool, and I set the value to true to start. I just leave auto type selected most of the time. Streamer.bot does a good job of just knowing what the type is, whether it's string or int or bool. So click OK. So now whenever, again, the stream goes online, it sets all these globals, including first bool. Now back to our first action that we are working on for this achievement. Now we need to get that value. So that's where I was a little confused before. To get the value, again, we do add, right click in the sort of sub actions window, add, core, globals, and then we want global get. And then it'll bring up a window where you fill in the variable name, which the variable that we're trying to get from where we set it in the scope of Streamer.bot, so that we can have it for the scope of this sub action is we want to get the variable first bool, and then the destination variable, how we're going to use that, how we're going to use and manipulate the value is we need a variable that's just for the scope of this sub action. So I'm going to call that my first bool. And the default value I don't have to set because we're bringing it in from the global of first bool. We click OK. And now we need it to be true to start because we want this if else action to start off true. So once someone hits first or does the first command, it triggers the sub action. It grabs wherever the first bool value is, which at the start of the stream is true. Then it goes into this if statement. And again, if statement in Streamer.bot, you do add, core, logic, and then you want if else. And then it'll bring up a window like this. And what we're looking for is what value we're looking at for comparison is the my first bool, which is the local scope variable that we got from the global of first bool. And when you're, and this sort of threw me a bit when I was getting adjusted to Streamer.bot. When you're getting and setting variables, you do not put these percent signs around them in these get and set statements. But when you're using it in, if you're trying to evaluate whatever, if you're trying to get the value, get at wherever the value is in the variable, then you need to wrap your variable name with these percent signs. That's how Streamer.bot knows, okay, I need to evaluate this variable to see what the value is so that I can then use it. So we're looking at where the value of my first bool is, which to begin with is going to be true because that's what we set it at the beginning. The comparison that we're doing is we're seeing if it equals. You could do greater than, less than. There's lots of different operations that you're for the comparison of the if statement. But we're seeing if my first equals true. If that's the case, okay, then it's going to give you two sort of sections, a true result and a false result. In the true result, you're going to right click in that area. You're going to choose add, let's see, where is it? Add, and then whatever actions you want. What you want for the first command first is to set a global. Now here's where we set a new global for this. And this comes into play in terms of the animation that we do later, because it needs to grab these values. If you want to just have a chat message that says, hey, you're the first one, you don't have to worry about some of these elements. But I'm just going to take you through what I do. And these ones I'm going to speed through because it's for the sake of the animation. But I have a new global that I'm setting called achieve name. And this is the achievement I'm naming this. So this one would be Icebreaker, the Icebreaker achievement. And that'd be whatever you want to call your achievement. If you're even doing an achievement system, this could also just say the first person here or whatever. Okay, I'm setting that global. I'm also setting the global for whoever earned the achievement. And again, what happens is someone typed in exclamation point first. That then unlocks a bunch of variables that you have access to over for who triggered that command or who triggered this statement. And so you can access that by essentially exclamation or percent sign user percent sign will get you whoever typed in first. Whoever was that person is now transferred to this variable of user. Achieve earner is just the global I'm setting there. Okay, so then I have those two globals. Then this is where I get into, this next part is where I get into this whole tracking. Like if Cool Deluxe or Baba were to type in exclamation point trophies in chat, it gives them a little message that tells them how many times they've earned these achievements. So if you want to have that type of persistent value from stream to stream to stream, here's where this comes in. So I'm essentially saying I'm setting another global, but instead of just a destination of global, I'm choosing user redeemer. So this is the user redeemer is whoever, again, triggered this, whoever typed in the trigger or the command that triggered this sub action. So user redeemer. And then I'm just giving it a variable name of achiever first count. So now this variable name of achiever first count is linked to this user that's redeemed it. And so I think there's essentially going to be, I think the way I think of it, at least how I think of it, and you want this to be persisted, so it goes from stream to stream to stream. The way I sort of think of it is there's a class user redeemer that has its own variable of achieve first count, which is the count that's just the variable name. It could be anything. It could be Joe Schmo if you want, but it's just easiest for me to remember achieve underscore first underscore count is how many times this person, the user who's redeemed it, has gotten the first achievement. So that's the variable name. Then every time they get this, you want it to increment by whatever this number is. So I only want it to increment by 1, so I choose 1 as the increment. You could also have it decrement, go down, or just set it to a straight value. So I have an increment. So that's what keeps track of how many times someone's achieved something. Then next up, I get. Then I'm gonna. So I set that now. Even though you may set a global variable inside one of these sub actions, you do not have access to that value unless you then get the value. It's kind of a wonk. I feel like it's a bit of a, what would you call it? Not redundancy, but overcomplexification in Streamer.bot, where you have to get this. I said it. Shouldn't it just be there? No, now you have to get the value so you have access to use it. So even though we just set this achieve first count global that's tied to the user that redeemed it, now we have to get it. So we're going to do the same, like add, core, get, the same process. But instead of, again, global for the source, we're going to choose user redeemer. It is persisted. If you select over here, you're setting a persisted user redeemer achieve first count variable, but then go to get a user redeemer not persisted achieve first count variable, it's going to look for something else. It's going to look in a different place for a variable that's not persisted. So if if you're trying to get this right variable, you want them to be either both persisted or both unpersisted. Otherwise, you're not accessing the same variable. So in our case, this is persisted because we want this to go from stream to stream to stream, from Streamer.bot session to Streamer.bot session. Okay, so we are getting that achieve first count global variable. Then we're putting it into a locally scoped my achieve first count variable. And again, so the destination variable could be whatever. It could be cat toy or whatever. And we don't need a default value because we already have one from wherever this count is. Then we're going to set this achievement count variable. And I'm trying to remember why I have this achievement count. What are we saying this to? Okay. This is the value, the global value that's going into the animation of the little widget that I have that comes on screen. So the achieve count is a global variable I'm setting to just so that I can just have that in this. But now that I look at this actually does not need to be persisted because this will change each time. I don't know why I have this persisted because it's always going to update to this. But so that I don't break anything at this point, I'm going to just leave that on. So it's a variable name that it's a global. That's the achievement count, which will be passed into our little animation. The value is now here because we are actually not saying this to a value and actually want to evaluate whatever this variable is. We don't want to set the value of this to a string called my achieve first count. We want actually to change to apply the value of whatever's in my achieve first count to this global. So we need to put the parentheses on it here. Okay. Then after that's done, we then go into this action that's animate achievement. We'll go into that in a second, but we'll just wrap this up. Then we finally will set the first bool, that first global variable we made, to false. That way, if someone else does the first achievement, it'll go right here to this if statement. It'll say, if my first equals true, it does not. Okay, so it's a false statement. So it goes right down here to false, where we don't have any actions. But then it's sort of just the action's over at that point. So we set it to false here, though, so that it's ready for the next time it's run. It doesn't do anything. And then we output a Twitch message saying, which you can do by going to add Twitch, and then chat, send message to channel, and then I'll open in this dialog, much like this. And here I just say thank you, and then I use that user percent because they're the ones who triggered this for breaking the ice for the stream. You could say, or congrats, %, user %, you were the first one here. Something like that. And now they may not actually be the first one here. I often in my stream, people will type and then someone else who's only got here 5 minutes, 10 minutes in the stream will type first, and they get the first achievement. But it's just a fun sort of thing to gun for. Depends on how you want to set up your stream, but I'm just showing you how I use it. Okay. Now that we've done all this, let's go back to this action. You can actually cause sub actions to run other full bucket actions in Streamer.bot. And you do that by going add core actions and then a run action. And then you pick whichever actions you have available to you. In this case, I have this action, animate achievement. So we go to animate achievement, which I have in this achievements group. And this is a lot. So I'm just going to go through this real quick. A lot of it is very meld specific. I'll try to tell you what the OBS corollary would be, but here you go. First off, I have a achievement, a scene. That's what this looks like. So you would have a scene maybe in OBS that looks something like this. I'll just leave this on here for a second. You'd have a scene in OBS that looks like this, that has essentially a text field for your wherever the achievement name is, a text field for who earned it, and a text field for how many times they've earned it. That's how I have mine set up. The animated pixel art heart thing is something you'd have to either hire me to make you one, or hire someone else to make you one, or make one in Canva that's timed right. You can see here it's not the perfect timing because I manually went to achievement. In the program, you'll see there's a bit of a helper with delays and stuff so that it doesn't just pop on the text before the animation's even opened. But that's what these globals are being used for. So I have a action that goes to that essentially it hides. So this first action will hide the achievement. It hides all the name, the count, all the aspects of that achievement thing, so that when it pops on, you don't see anything at first. It gives space for the animation to play. So it hides these first before we even go to another scene. It hides the achievement elements. Then let's see. So this hides the name. This hides who earned it. This hides who earned it. Just the text earned by. So that's static text I have. Then also the count of how many times they've earned it. Then after I've hid those elements, I do another get a global. So here I'm getting that achievement name, which we set, again, achievement name we set back in the achievement first. Down here, after the person achieved it, achieved name got set to Icebreaker, because that's the achievement. Because I use this achievement animation by lots of different achievements. So I want to, whatever the achievement was that someone earned, that's the name that I want to populate into achieve name. So if this first achievement got earned, the achievement name Icebreaker gets populated into this global, or gets set to that global, and then this gets whatever the name is, goes to the achieve name global and grabs it. So then we put this into my achieve name variable, and we do that with whoever earned it, also how many times they've earned it. And I have a default value of 20. I'm not sure why I have that, honestly, but it's there. I think I could actually just turn that off. I don't know why I have 20 there. That doesn't make sense that anyone would have a 20. Okay, so then retro test is just for testing. I really don't need that either, but okay, so now we have the earner, the count, all that. Next up, we have, let's see, okay, so we've grabbed all the values from those global variables that were set over in the achieve first action. We're over here in the animate achievement action. So we grabbed all those values. So we're going to be able to populate them. Again, we're going to populate all those values into, if I can find it. We're going to populate into where it says Icebreaker. That's the achieve name. The achieve earner is the Kennethan right there. And then 2 is the count of how many times it was achieved. So all those are there. Okay, so now after that, these are the things that in OBS you would do, like OBS scene change or OBS. I forget what I could look in here. Geez. So in OBS you'd say like add. Then we do OBS Studio scenes. And then you'd say, oh no, name not scenes. Let's see, what would be scenes, get scene, hide scene, random scene, set scene, filter state. It's been a while since I've done stuff with OBS. I'm surprised it's not coming up. Because you'd want to change scenes, I think. Well, you might want to just want a source to come on. So let's say sources, you would do like set source visibility state, let's say, and you'd pick, you'd pick wherever scene it's on. I don't have OBS open, so it wouldn't, have a scene it'll populate because ideally you've connected your Streamer.bot with OBS, and then give you your scenes and sources and all that, and you say visible, so it turns it on. I'm not doing that with Meld. I'm actually saying I'm going to set this layer. So right now I'm saying for the scene with the achievement on it, go to the layer with the name and set it to whatever this. Remember, this is the local variable of that global achieve name value, or a global achieve name variable. So we took the global achieve name, we put it into this local. We took the global achieve name, we put it. My name ain't Roy. Thanks for that, Roy Trebek, really, into the local variable my achieve name, and now we're using that to populate the text field with the achiever's name, or the name of the achievement, which is Icebreaker. We do the same with the earner. We do the same with the count, and I add times on that. So if you ever want to add more text, you can do something like percent, then the variable percent, and then space, and then times, then wherever the actual just text you want, and they'll be just put in that text field. Then after we've populated them all, we then show the scene of the achievement, and then we delay. And this gets to how long your animation is. So I have about almost 2 seconds worth of delay before I pop on all the text layers, because I want the animation to play, and then it pops on the name of the achievement, who earned it, all of those things that we had already grabbed and set all those text fields to. We're just now making them visible with these visibility states. Then we delay for 6,000 seconds so we can bask in the glory of whoever achieved it for 6 whole seconds. And then we go back to the main deal, the main game, or whatever, whatever main scene you are. In Meld, I think you would probably in OBS, you would just turn the source of the achievement animation off. In Meld, because I want a sort of a nice transition between the two, I have it in different scenes. But so that is how the first achievement is made and done. Whew, yeah, and then 60 minutes of that. Oh my gosh, detention. So hopefully that's helpful to you, Ken, or anyone else that watches this later. And you can make I would love to see if you make a first command, how you end up making it, what sort of flair you brought to it. Please let me know. You can find me on X at Retro Rewind Pod. You can go to firejoystudios.com and leave a comment on a post, or tag me in a note or something, and I'd love to find out how you're using this.